I never thought I'd be the kind of woman to cheat, not me. I was a devoted wife, a loving mother, a woman who always did the right thing until I didn't. It started 2 weeks ago. His name was Jake. We met at a bar where I'd gone out with some friends from work. I hadn't planned on anything happening, but something about him was different. He was confident, charming in a way my husband hadn't been in years. We talked, we laughed, and for the first time in ages, I felt desirable again. At first, it was just innocent flirting. Then the text started. It was playful, teasing, harmless, I told myself. But deep down, I knew exactly where it was heading. The anticipation was intoxicating. The thrill of secrecy made my heart race in a way I hadn't felt in years. When we finally met again, I let myself go completely. It was passionate, raw, and filled with an intensity I had long forgotten. That night, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Jake and I had been out drinking. I wasn't thinking straight, or maybe I was thinking too clearly. I wanted him. I wanted that rush, that feeling of being alive. So I drove him back to my house, too drunk to care about the consequences. We parked in the driveway, the same driveway where my husband and I had built our life together. And then, in a moment of reckless abandon, I kissed him. We didn't see my husband coming. I only realized he was there when I heard a loud crash, the sound of the side mirror shattering against the pavement. My heart stopped. Jake pulled away, startled, and I turned my head just in time to see my husband's face twisted with rage and heartbreak. What the hell is this? His voice was low, dangerous. I'd fumbled for words. Ethan, don't, he cut me off. Don't even try. Jake, the coward, was already stepping out of the car, hands raised in defense. Look, man, I didn't know. Shut up, Ethan snapped. Get out of here. Now. Jake didn't need to be told twice. He backed away, hands still raised, before turning and disappearing down the street. The silence that followed was suffocating. Ethan, please, I finally whispered. He shook his head, running a hand through his hair before turning away. I can't even look at you right now. Then he walked inside, leaving me there with my shame and the broken mirror reflecting back at me. The next morning, my head throbbed, not just from the alcohol, but from the weight of what I had done. Ethan was sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee in front of him, untouched. He didn't look up as I walked in. We need to talk, I said softly. Yeah, we do, he said, finally meeting my eyes. I'm leaving. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Ethan. No, just listen, he interrupted. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to scream. I'm just done. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. Tears stung my eyes. It was a mistake. I was drunk. I wasn't thinking. No, he said, shaking his head, you were thinking. Maybe not about me, maybe not about our family, but you were thinking, and you made a decision. He stood up, grabbing his keys from the counter. I'll be back for my things later. The kids are staying here. I won't take them away from their mother, but I'm not going to pretend anymore. I wanted to scream, to beg, to tell him that I could fix this, but deep down, I knew the truth. There was no fixing it. For weeks, I tried to tell myself I had made a terrible mistake. I was supposed to feel regret, guilt, devastation. And I did, at first. I spent nights crying, wondering how I had let my marriage slip through my fingers. But as the days passed, another feeling began to settle in, a strange sense of freedom. I wasn't in love with Ethan anymore. If I had been, I wouldn't have done what I did. And that realization was both terrifying and liberating. One night, in a moment of clarity, I reached for my phone. My fingers hovered over Jake's number. I hesitated, then typed out a message. Hey. His response came almost instantly. Hey, beautiful. How are you holding up? I smiled. Could be better. You busy? For you, never. Want to get a drink? And just like that, I let go of the last remnants of my old life. 6 months later, my divorce was finalized. Ethan had moved on, or at least he acted like he had. We kept things civil for the kids, but we rarely spoke beyond that. He didn't ask about my life, and I didn't offer details. Jake and I kept seeing each other. What started as passion and escape turned into something more. He was fun, spontaneous, everything Ethan hadn't been. I wasn't naive. I knew this wasn't some grand love story, but for now, it was enough. One afternoon, as I watched my son playing in the backyard, I thought about everything that had happened. I had destroyed my marriage. I had hurt the man who once loved me beyond measure. And yet, I didn't feel the crushing guilt I had expected. Instead, I felt relief. Because sometimes the worst thing you can do turns out to be the most honest thing you've ever done.